Lying beneath the waters of Folk Lake, Indiana, is said to be a giant beast the likes the world hasn't seen since the dinosaurs. A true titan of the lake, the giant turtle that lives here has captured the interests of thousands, wondering just what lies beneath the murky waters of the lake's depths. Welcome to Cryptid Corner, a series all things cryptids. And today, we are going to look into the case of the Beast of Busco, a big ass turtle. Churubusco, Indiana is a town in northern Indiana which formed in the mid 1800s when the towns of Union and Franklin would pretty much be forced to merge in order to qualify for postal office, as they were pretty close already, and both Franklin and Union were already names that were taking in Indiana's postal system. Churubusco, often shortened to Busco, is close to the Eel River, a river that flows all the way into the Great Mississippi, along with many other ponds and lakes that many turtles call home. However, in one of these lakes, known as Folk Lake, there is said to be a turtle that puts all other turtles in the area to shame, and probably all freshwater turtles around the world. Our story starts all the way back in 1898 when a man by the name of Oscar Folk, a farmer who owned the farmland that surrounded the lake, would be the first to discover a giant snapping turtle, attempting to catch it on occasion and telling many of his neighbors about the giant beast. Unfortunately for him, his neighbors were lame as hell and didn't want to come with him to get a look at the turtle, and would just write off what he said about it as a tall tale or an exaggeration. Still, though, even if it is just a large snapping turtle, you're kind of lame as hell for not coming to look at the thing. Anyways, the lake would get its name from Oscar Folk, although the Beast of Busco would also inherit his name. And side note, I heard that Oscar is just a popular turtle name in general. Now, I'd wonder if this case influenced that or not, or if Oscar is just a good name for turtles and pets in general. The tale of the Beast of Busco would fall into obscurity, and Oscar would sell the property to new owners who would later claim to have seen the giant turtle on occasion, before selling to a new owner named Gale Harris. In 1948, Harris would invite his brother-in-laws, Ora Blue and Charlie Wilson, to fish on the lake during the warm July month, when they would witness the Goliath surfacing from beneath the waves. They would describe to Harris that the turtle was about 500 pounds and was about the size of a dinner table, and at the time, Gale would just write it off as just a tall tale. But just a few months later, Harris would spot a massive object in the lake while helping a man work on his roof, believing the object to be a living creature. The two would see it again, and then they would decide to go out on the water to investigate for themselves. And they would find it. Beneath their boat, there was a colossal outline of a turtle so large that Harris would spot its tail on one side of the boat, where at the same time, the man saw its head on the other. Another aside, but one of the first descriptions of this turtle's size that I found was the size of a small dinosaur. And I get that it's a massive turtle, so dinosaurs are the first thing that you're thinking about. But what the hell qualifies a small dinosaur? Are we talking like the small little raptor dudes? Those are pretty small dinosaurs. But I mean to like the giant brontosauruses and stuff like that. Anything's a small dinosaur. It's like what does it even mean? What are we talking about here? I don't get it. What even is a small dinosaur? Can you speak on what a small dinosaur is? I don't think I can. Anyways, with all that out of the way, the turtle is thought to be about 10 feet long, and Harris would spot the turtle many more times, even having a run-in with the beast while out on the water with his son, where Harris would do the dumbest thing you possibly could do and touch the turtle's tail, with the beast flipping their boat and knocking them into the water while escaping. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Harris would tell the locals about the sightings, and eventually they would band together in an attempt to capture the giant turtle, but each time ended in failure. Not because they couldn't get a glimpse of it or anything, they found it on several occasions, but Oscar was just an absolute unit and was too strong and too large for the traps to work. In 1949, the story of a giant turtle and Harris's attempts to capture it would receive media coverage across the nation, with thousands of people rushing to their newspapers for updates on the story. People from all over would flock to Churubusco to see if they could witness the beast for themselves, with mobs of them flocking to Harris's property, where police routinely would have to control all the chaos. Many hoaxes and fabrications around the story also came up to capitalize on the craze, with two men from Indianapolis claiming that they caught Oscar, but all they had to show for it was a sea turtle. But that gave Harris an idea. He wanted to try to lure out Oscar with a female sea turtle. But Oscar didn't fall for that. Our boy ain't simping for some random like that. More on Harris, though. He began to pay hand over fist to try to catch this turtle, hiring professional divers and trappers, investing into state-of-the-art traps, and even draining part of the lake. But he would turn up empty-handed each time, and Oscar would be last sighted on October 13th, 1949, with him leaping from the water to snag a duck atop a trap, with 200 spectators watching in amazement. During all of this, Harris's farm would fail, and he would contract appendicitis, forcing him to abandon his search and sell his property. The Beast of Busco would never be seen again, although a giant snapper with reports of its head being the size of a human's was said to live in a swamp in Black Oak, Indiana, which is about 100 miles away, in 1950, although this just seems to be capitalizing on the giant turtle craze. The story of Oscar, the Beast of Busco, and his arch nemesis of Gale Harris, who tried his best to catch him, was a massive story in the late 40s. I spoke about it earlier, but the story really put Churubusco on the map, with thousands of people coming out to just see if they can get a glimpse of Oscar, perhaps even being captured by Harris. The town of Churubusco pays homage to Oscar with their Turtle Days festival that they host every June, with a parade, a carnival, turtle races, and much more fun events with Oscar as their mascot. Churubusco also has a turtle statue in front of the Churubusco Community Park, along with another statue in the city's center, serving as a small monument to the giant turtle and its even larger impact that it left on the town. Now, in the case of the Beast of Busco, it's not too hard to figure out what Oscar actually is or could have been. Now, of course, the sightings are most likely exaggerated, but I believe that Oscar was a giant alligator snapping turtle. Alligator snapping turtles are absolute Goliaths as is, with them getting to around 3 feet in length and weighing up to 250 pounds, with legend of a 400-pound turtle reportedly caught in Kansas way ago. These Goliaths are most common in the American South, although they are known to move into the more northern states along with parts of Indiana through the many rivers that flow into the Mississippi, including the Eel River, just a little bit away from Folk Lake. At one point, alligator snapping turtles were thought to have been exterminated in Indiana, although many of them have been found since 1991, making them rare yet present animals in Indiana's ecosystems. And given alligator snappers can live up to 200 years old, with some believing that they can reach up to 400 years in age, it is highly likely that the same turtle that Oscar Folk saw back in the 1890s was the same one that Harris tried to capture, biding its time and growing larger over the years. Male alligator snapping turtles, which far exceed the size of females, also tend to spend most of their time in the water, and although they prefer rivers, Folk Lake is large enough for an alligator snapper to thrive. And although I don't think that this turtle was 10 feet long or so big you could see it from two sides of a boat, I do believe that Oscar was a real alligator snapping turtle, and could have even been one of the largest snappers of modern times. Some believe the story to be fake, and perhaps many of the stories were exaggerated, and maybe even made up. But I don't think that there's just nothing in this pond, or there was nothing at the time. Many people reported seeing Oscar in the lake, for me to just brush it off as a hoax or something like that. Harris believes that Oscar left the lake through a subterranean river, although one is not known to exist in Falk Lake, and some sadly believe that Oscar suffocated in the mud, trying to hide when the lake was being drained. And this is one of the more commonly accepted conclusions to the Beast of Busco story. And with the lake being private property, we may never actually know for sure what happened in this lake and what lies beneath its waves. At the end of the day, I feel the Beast of Busco was an alligator snapping turtle whose impressive size was blown out of proportion for the press for an easy story and for the trappers so it looked harder to catch. Gail Harris may be seen as somebody who made the whole thing up for the press, but in reality, he became obsessed with this turtle to the point that his farm failed, and in the end of the day, he came back with nothing, forced to sell his property with nothing to show for it. If the story was a fake to draw eyes to a small town, then it worked. But real or not, Oscar, the Beast of Busco, made a splash so big that it put Churubusco on the map and a big ass turtle into the minds of Americans in the late 40s, eager for an update on the monster. Perhaps Oscar could still be alive in the lake, growing ever larger, and one day his size will catch our eyes once again. And that's going to do it for the Beast of Busco. I really like this story because it feels like this is a very plausible cryptid that lived, and it's just a big ass turtle. How can you go wrong with a big turtle? Okay, it's like the most beloved animals ever. And even though the alligator snappers are fearsome animals, and many states exterminated them because they're rough, it's still a turtle at heart. This recommendation came from Austin Lee, always providing goated video recommendations, may I add. But what did you think about it? I thought it was a pretty good venture into a very interesting legend. If you like this video, leave a like, comment down below what you thought about it, or if you have any more recommendations of cryptids or unusual animals in general to recommend, just comment that down below. And once again, subscribe and the hype feature, which I still don't think's here. I'm gonna keep saying it until it's there, and that ending yap is gonna be one you're gonna look forward to. But anyways, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.